I've covered for you long enough. I might sound a little rough. I'm wearing orange now and so you've got you did this and now Scott. Now I know why. Now I know why. Now I know why. It was you, Scott, you, and now I know why. I asked you where your dad was. Where was Big Daddy? You got so angry when I went to feed the baby goat. Now Scott, now I know why. Now I know why. Now I know why. It was you, Scott, you, and now I know why. Where your dad was. Where was Big Daddy? You got so angry when I went to feed the baby goat. Now Scott, now I know why. Now I know why. Now I know why. It was you, Scott, you, and now I know why. I am hella mad and burning with rage, Scott, and now I know why.
When she was upset with Carrie for leaving, she talked about, she said, my response to
I am hella mad and burning with rage, Scott, and now I know why. Now I know why. Now I know why. It was you, Scott, you, and now I know why. Now I know why. It was you, Scott, you, and now I know why. I am hella mad and burning with rage, Scott, and now I know why.
Hey everybody! Excited Utterance here. My name's Hella, and that always cheers me up on a Monday morning. It's Monday morning here. It's Sunday for you. Suck it. You still have to get through Monday morning, or I'm already into mine. Suffer. I am hella mad and burning with rage, Scott. And my daughter's here. She's next door. It's her holidays, and she had to listen to that. Ha 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 ha. Even funnier. Yes, this is probably my favorite song of 2024, but I don't listen to music. No, Mavka, you don't. Except this and Sarah. That one too. Yeah. And I don't think that you approve my Luigi song, but that sucks. Too bad. I like my Luigi song. It's Thursday there. Are you that far in the past, Mavka? Is that why you think that I'm always late? Because you're so far in the past? Is that what it is? Welcome, everybody. Hey, Erica. Hey, Erica. Hey, Half Irish. And who else is here? Bye, Franz. Hey, bye, Franz. Who are you saying hello to? Who's Cabron? Chitty's here. Yes, on time today. No stream not cancelled, Mavka. And who else we got? Johnny on the spot. Nice to have Johnny on the spot always. And Scott. It was you, Scott. You. I lost my glasses. Oh my God. Dolly. You're muted.
Ah!
Oh, geez, that was a fail. Okay, not only were you not aware that you were on screen, but you didn't do the sideways glance. I think it's going great. You didn't do the sideways glance. I lost my glasses. You were muted. That was just the biggest boomer fest.
That might be asking too much.
Dear me. Hey, beautiful. Mavka is a character and a half. Yes, Mavka is. Mavka's managed to piss off pretty much most of my Delphi audience.
I've noticed.
Yep.
Coburger.
Fair bit of my Coburger audience, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? It's good. I think a fair few of them have blocked him. That's fine. I wish more would. And I'm like, please just ignore Mavka. He's fine. We love him. Yep. Hey, Young, how are you? Oh, stop. Can you please stop calling it Idaho 3?
It doesn't help.
Please. Please, just for me.
Oh,
Like,
Lord.
I love you, Mavka. Can you stop that? Please. Please. Beautiful. Don't even ask. Right?
Oh, Lord.
Hey, Young. Do you know a man named Costas who is a gardening expert? I just learned of him. Oh, Costas. Yeah. He's an Australian dude. I don't know him personally. Oh dear. Okay, guys. All right. So today we're playing Shrink the Prosecutor again, and okay. So the good daughter, which is Amanda, she's going to be on cross today, and so little teensy weensy Prosecutor Manlet is going to be
In a yellow polka dot bikini.
Well, we can put him in a yellow polka dot bikini if you want, but you got to pay.
Oh,
Guys, we've had a slow month. We need donations. So please, if you're feeling generous, that would be fantastic. And look what I've already done to him. I've
Love.
given him. Oh, why are you so far behind him? Can you move your face? Wrong way. You weren't so far behind him last week.
I'm a manlet. What can I say?
Yeah. Look what I've done to his face. I've given him little rosy cheeks and some little like elf ears and yeah. Hey bunny,
okay,
how
buddy.
are you?
It's okay.
Welcome
It's
to
okay.
welcome
Good
to
boy.
the Helliverse.
Good boy.
We can do anything to him. We can put funny hats on him, but we definitely will make him shrink. So if you decide to donate, gift and membership, super chats, whatever you want to do, gift and memberships would be fantastic because memberships are going low right now. Then we will shrink him and we'll also do whatever we want to him, make his face Oompa Loompa, etc. Okay, so let's go. It's time to get into this testimony. Crazy week ahead. Yes, more Laurie and Karen Reed. So Mr. Darley's going to be streaming Laurie all week.
Yes.
Yes,
The
from 4
lovely
p.m.
Laurie.
Eastern each day.
Yep.
So that was her crying was the end of her direct. Hello, what's going on? Oh,
Yes,
I can't hear it.
I know.
it would shock me.
Can you move your
We
head?
were looking for my dad. Why? I don't. Like, again, I didn't know that
Yeah.
he had a trail camera. But that is concerning.
Judge, I think we should break.
It's here.
Okay, so they broke
We'll break for lunch. We're going to take an hour.
Right, blah, 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 blah. Wisdom, justice, moderation.
Oh, he's got a comfy shoulder.
Looking good there, Melody. Looking good.
Let's move forward post
Oh,
July.
hang on. We didn't get to see him start.
Thank you, Your Honor. Amanda, I would remind you are still under oath.
Mind
So
you, you're
let's
under-
move forward post July.
You are under the height
the
limit.
5th. What did you notice about the change in your family dynamics?
After that had happened, I immediately had to take care of my mom. It was probably July 6th. They all of my brothers and sister looked at me and said, all right, you take her. And so I immediately
Got
had her
it.
with me. She lived with us, I can't tell you how long, months, because she didn't
This was
want
in 2018.
to, yes.
Yes, okay.
After everything had happened, this was like July 6th forward. And she lived with us. She didn't want to go back to the property. Eventually it came to the point of like, okay, you can go now. And so she went back, but I had to help pay for house insurance and car insurance and power bills and things like that. So I was kind of having to take care of the situation from that point. But Emily went back to Tennessee. Chris was in Atlanta, and Scott, I think, was staying at somebody's house, I guess, or went back to the property once it was, well, I know he went back to the property after it was released. I don't know if he stayed with a friend for a while.
Okay. Were you ever part of any discussions with an attorney who told everybody not to talk?
Correct.
Okay.
On July 6th, I guess it was. I don't
That
remember.
Friday, the next day?
Yes. It would have, somebody, I don't know who it was, maybe it was a consensus thing, but essentially it was, we needed somebody to help us. We didn't know what was going on.
Calendar here from that time period, if you need to look for the dates.
I didn't know what to do at that moment, but I knew that,
We need captions.
you know, what you see on TV, let's get an attorney to handle it. And somebody gave me Eric Durlacker's number. I did not have
what
it.
you see on
So
TV?
somebody gave it to me. I don't know if it was one of my siblings or my mom. I have no idea. I can't remember. So I called him and I said, I need help. I don't know what to do. I need somebody to guide me through this, or take care of it, really is what I wanted. I was like, take care of this.
Was this, by the way, sorry to cut you off,
You're fine.
but timeline-wise, was this while your mother was being interviewed by Detective Hayes?
Correct.
Oh, we're not on cross
This
yet.
was the day of the 6th, so
Okay.
Friday.
Nearly on cross.
And I called Eric, I don't know what time, and he just gave me Manny's number and told them that Deputy Hayes had my mother in the room and was questioning her, was questioning Scott, and they said, well, just let them know that she has an attorney. And we told him a couple of times, but she stayed in there for another hour or so. And then she finally came out, and we went to the attorney's office. Everybody as a family went down there.
And that's when he said, y'all stop talking. Everybody stop talking.
Correct.
Anybody who knows anybody, stop talking.
Correct.
Okay. So when did it become apparent, or what could you tell from Scott and Chris breaking off from the family?
They eventually got very angry and irritated. I know Chris got mad at me because I told one of the detectives, I think his name was Tommy, that he decided not to go on vacation. Apparently that was a problem. He said we aren't supposed to talk to the attorney, so we were all on the same page.
You mean law enforcement?
Yes, sorry, law enforcement. That we should basically just go to the attorney if we have any questions, and just to keep to ourselves, and that's it. And he was handling the situation, the attorney.
In this time period or ever before, had you ever heard your brother Scott say, this is my property?
Yes.
This is my house?
Multiple times. He flaunted the fact that that was his property. I almost kind of like joked in a way he kind of vicariously lived through my dad.
Kind of like the movie Step Brothers. You ever seen that?
I don't know if they took ownership of their dad's stuff.
Well,
But yeah,
Okay.
I mean, in that same situation, and grown up, still living at home. Yes, I can see it in that aspect.
but he would claim things as his that were not.
No
his. That's fair to say.
objection. What? How could you not object to that?
Gosh, manlet.
Okay, I've never seen the movie Step Brothers. Have you guys seen the movie Step Brothers?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm assuming that the two Step Brothers killed the parent.
No, it had nothing to do with their parents' death.
They had nothing to do with it.
No, they they were very immature and
Right.
constantly screwing up and like dorks. This picture of my cats is from the movie Step Brothers.
Okay. All right. So he said kind of like the movie Step Brothers, and she said, I don't think they took responsibility for the parents' death in Step Brothers, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, so the parents didn't even die in the
No.
movie. Hey, Caleb. Right. So, but for him to even bring in the thought of a whole situation of a movie like that, right?
It was a
and the
swing
way
and a
people
miss.
acted in a movie. Okay, but for him to bring in like the way people acted in a movie and that whole situation and then for her to go, I'm not sure if they took responsibility for the murder in that situation. That's bringing in a whole different scenario into the
Yeah.
jurors' minds, right? That's completely out of order,
Yeah.
right? He can't say that. Like that's so objectionable. That's so wrong. How is the prosecutor not objecting to that? I can't even what's going on in this court?
Yeah.
They belong to my mother and my father.
Okay. And you say, I mean, how often would you hear him say this?
He wouldn't say it like all the time, but it was always just like my farm, my property, my Kubota. He would get on social media. He would say, this is my property. I mean, he claimed ownership to it. That's for sure.
Okay. And speaking of social media, had you ever seen your brother shoot guns or anything like that?
He was in the military. He was always shooting guns at the house, from what I was heard and what
Wrong
he
movie
said.
reference.
Did you ever see any of his videos on social media?
No.
Okay. But you knew he was always shooting guns.
He was always doing something around there, but yeah, it was a known thing that they used to go and I don't know if he would hunt stuff. I don't really know how that works because there were so many houses that were in close proximity, but I know that he would have leisurely kind of shootings back there.
Okay. So going on through late July and things like that,
July.
just kind of talk about it. Were there any issues? Did you ever have any communication or talk to Rusty during that time?
No.
Had you ever met him yet?
No.
Okay. And that would have been what, later on about 2019 that you communicated with Rusty Barton?
When she was arrested, that was the first time I personally spoke to him.
Okay.
That I can recall.
All right. But you'd known during this time, you'd heard about Rusty Barton, yes?
Yes, there were rumors, but I didn't know the depths of it until the preliminary hearing.
So that was in 2019.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Right about the
Because
time
she was
that
already
your mother-
arrested at that point. So, yeah, I didn't know about all the meetings and all that kind of stuff. That was new to me at the preliminary hearing.
Okay. So going back to, tell me about the estate and how things were managed with the siblings for the family.
What do you mean?
Was your brother appointed as the executor of the estate?
Nobody was. The estate was locked down immediately when the house was locked down. My mother couldn't go down the road and get a sandwich if she wanted to. She was totally reliant on me from day one.
Well, I guess I'm talking more about, there was properties that were owned by the family, and was your brother Chris ever appointed over that?
My sister at one point got
Sorry.
a coroner's letter that we did not know about. My mother had tried to get a lady named Diane to help her figure out what needed to be done with the estate because it had been so long. And that's when she went to the courthouse and realized that Chris had filed for, I don't know what you call it, for the estate, but he was given ownership of the estate and we did not know.
Okay. Well, tell me how that went.
Not well. I know that it turned into, I texted Emily at one point and I said, Diane's told me that there's been money taken out and my dad owned the condo that my sister lived in Tuscaloosa and said that it had, I don't know if it went into foreclosure or whatnot, but a property management company was in charge of, they would get the check and then Daddy, I assume, would give it to the mortgage company at that point, and it was not being done. So the condo was lost.
And that was the condo in Tuscaloosa?
Correct, and that's when I petitioned to have the third-party estate attorney. So none of us had our hands on it. It was purely an outside source, and I did not know that was an option until my mother spoke to Diane.
Okay. And so, did they loop you in on any of this, Chris and Scott and Emily?
No,
Right, so you were kind of left on the outside.
nobody talked to me about it.
Right. And is that because you were the only one showing any support for your mother?
I had to take care of her. I had no option but to take care of her at that point. Emily ran off back to Tennessee, and Chris and Scott were no help. I financially took care of a lot that first year. It was really hard on us, but we did it because it had to be done. God forbid something happened to the house, and the mortgage was over almost probably $5,500 a month. And then the home insurance, I paid for that. So if anything were to happen to it, we wouldn't be in a really big situation, but that was $600 a month. Paid for the car insurance on all of the cars, including Scott's, and that's kind of where Scott and I fell out.
Over his car?
Over his car, because I was having to pay the car insurance and he didn't have a job at the time, and it was really hard to get money out of him. And I didn't have the money to be paying for all of that. So it just got into arguments, and finally when Jeff Reskridge, the state attorney, got appointed, I just said, please defer all your questions to him, because it was a losing battle.
Did you ever become aware that Scott would call law enforcement, 911, on your mother pretty regularly in 2019?
From my mother.
Okay. Did you ever hear any of these calls, or did you come up on an altercation between the two of them?
No, she would always call me and say what was happening, and I told her she either needed to audio record it or video record it, or nobody was going to believe her.
Your father was a very large man. Do you know how much he weighed?
280, 290,
Very
300.
personal
Quite an
question.
area.
He was 6'5", I'm 5'7", and I came up to his chest.
Well, let's not
Here.
mention height, ma'am.
How much do you think your mother weighs?
125 pounds soaking wet.
Prosecutor will be very
Does she have any
upset.
physical conditions of note?
She had scoliosis really bad. She's had it all of her life.
Like how bad? Like is her back?
Yeah, if you look at it, I mean, there's probably a couple inches difference from the side of her back to the other. She got kicked in the leg by one of the horses, and she was in a cast for a really long, one of those kind of, I think it was like a soft cast for a while, but she couldn't walk. She had to do rehabilitation on that. But other than that, I mean, she's been active, I guess you would say.
Your Honor, if I may have a moment. That's all I said, Your Honor.
Hi, Ms. Ferris.
All right. Manlet time.
Amanda, I want to
Can I get your phone number?
begin with, you testified a lot today about, I guess, how you view certain evidence. Is that fair to say?
I don't know what you mean by that.
Have you kind of said, when the defense counsel will ask you questions, you would respond, and that's really based on what you know in this case or your beliefs. Is that fair?
I would say it's mostly opinion, but I don't know much about
What would it take to get to
All I
the
know is
third
from
date?
When Deputy Hayes told me about that my father was shot, and that was from my mother the very first night at Free Home Fire Station, and then what we know in the preliminary hearing.
I'm sorry, what was that last part?
The preliminary hearing?
Okay. On July 5th, 2019, actually a year to the day that your father's remains were found, there was a preliminary hearing where certain evidence was introduced that gave you more knowledge of the case. Is that true?
Yes, sir.
But what I want to go through is you do not have any personal knowledge of the details of what happened July 3rd, 2018 from 9:30 p.m. to 2:30 a.m. the next morning. You don't have any personal knowledge of what happened, right?
No, sir.
You don't have any personal knowledge of what happened on January 4th, 2018 from about 6:30 that morning until about 2 p.m. when your mom came to the lake where you were at, right?
Only what she told me, that she was coming to see me.
And you would agree with me that a lot of what you know or has been told to you by your mom.
Absolutely.
You agree that a major source of your information, the predominant, overreaching source of information is from what your mom told you, right?
Correct.
I mean, an example of that is things that happen outside of your presence, whether it was what Scott said or Chris said, your mother would come back and say, this is what happened, right?
To some degree, but I would be with my brothers if they said something directly to me.
Right, but if you were not at the house when afterwards there were questions about the property and things like that, if your mom was just there, she'd come back and tell you her version of things that happened, right?
Correct.
So it depends a lot on her credibility when what she says, right?
Absolutely.
You know there's evidence of her lying through this trial?
I don't know. I mean, if it was in the preliminary hearing, maybe.
But you agree with me that credibility counts, right?
Oh my
Your
God, the
credibility.
glasses.
Not just in what you say, but also how you say it.
Yes, sir.
Sir, are you about to
Are
go
you
for
trying
a
to
swim?
testify here objectively, not
My God, sir.
I can't make him look sillier than that.
He's going for a swim, guys. The chlorine hurts my eyes, guys. I'm going to hold my
God.
nose when I jump in as well. Yeah,
Well, his voice is already like that.
I know. There's chlorine in
Okay.
this pool, right, Mrs. Johnson? In case any of you guys peed in it.
I don't know why she's answering yes to all these questions because the mother is not the only source of her knowledge about all these things that happen. It sounds to me from her direct that Scott gave her a lot of information about what happened over those days, and also her daughter. Was her daughter there? Her daughter. It was her daughter that was there with Addison, wasn't it?
Think so.
Was it her daughter that was there with Chris's daughter or Chris's stepdaughter? No, it was her stepdaughter that was there with Chris's daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she got information from her as well. So, like, it wasn't just the mom, because the prosecutor's trying to make out like she was just fed all this information by the mum.
Yeah.
So, yeah, stepdaughter, that's right. Yeah, stepdaughter. So, this is kind of misleading, really.
not your thumb on the scales at all. You're just trying to say, this is what I know.
This is just what I know. It's not my job to figure out what happened.
And so when you choose your words, sometimes, like you said, that Emily ran back to Tennessee. You used the word run. Is that just your opinion on what she did?
Yes, I felt like she abandoned me and did not help me.
You don't have any personal knowledge of who was present at your mom and dad's house on July 3rd, 2018 from 9:30 p.m. to 2:30 a.m., right?
No.
You don't know what happened or who was present to do anything, correct?
I mean, my mother, I assumed my mother was there, and I assumed Scott, but that was because she told me Scott came home that night.
Okay, but you don't have any personal knowledge of that, right?
No.
It's just based on what she said.
Yeah, because I wasn't there, so I wouldn't know.
And July 4th, that Wednesday, you don't have any personal knowledge of what your mother was doing on the property before she came to see you at the lake, right?
Only what she told me. She was working on the property.
But she did say she was working on the property, right?
Correct.
But outside of that, you have no personal knowledge of the actual events in this case that led to the murder of your father.
No.
You don't know any circumstances about where your father was shot with one bullet, do you?
No.
You don't know any circumstances about where your father was shot with another bullet, do you?
No.
You don't know where in the house it was done?
Just, I don't think that was brought up in the preliminary hearing. I just think that, I don't even know if they even said that he was shot in the house.
And you don't know how, what was done in this case to conceal the crime, right?
No.
You have no personal knowledge.
No.
You're just testifying to the best of your ability of things that occurred kind of before and after. Is that fair?
Objection.
You have very, very limited information.
You don't
Now,
know what was done in
you
the
also
house
don't
to
have any
conceal
personal-
the crime. There is no evidence of. There's nothing in evidence to show that there was anything done to conceal the crime. You're testifying. Bloody hell.
Knowledge, although you'd agree if two people in a conversation, those two people have knowledge of what was said, assuming everything's normal, they would know what was talked about in conversations, right?
What do you mean?
If you and I were having a conversation like we are now, I mean,
Like,
you would
you know,
and I would
over
know,
dinner,
we're intentionally
you
trying
know,
to have
took you to,
relate
like,
information and
Denny's.
messages to one another. We would know what's going on, right?
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, assuming we're not insane or anything like that, we would know what was said or what was actually said or not said, correct?
Yeah, if you were only there to see it yourself, that's the only way you truly know.
Sure. And you would agree with me that in this case, we're testifying many years later than when the actual stuff occurred, right?
Oh, yes.
And sometimes you can do, when you're looking back on what happened, it wasn't at the time, so even with the passage of time, whether it's from memory or from intent, sometimes you don't remember exactly what was said.
Absolutely.
But your memory is usually better at the time that something was said than, say, 6 years down the road. Is that fair?
Repeat that?
Generally speaking, your memory when you say something at that time is better than your memory of what was said maybe 6 years after the fact.
I think certain things stick with you more than others, but time definitely is not helpful.
And I think that's fair. And so if you were told that Gary's in the burn pile, that would be something that would stick with you, right?
Yes.
So you don't have any personal knowledge what was said between your mother and her lover Rusty on July 3rd, 2018 at 9:26 p.m.
No.
Did you know they talked for 4 minutes that day?
It was brought out in a preliminary hearing that they had a phone call.
Did she ever tell you exactly what they said during that phone call?
I did not discuss anything with her.
And you have no personal knowledge of what was said between your mom and Rusty on July 3rd, 2018 at 11:28 p.m. where they talked for 5 minutes to you?
No, I didn't know they were communicating at that time.
And it shocked you when you found out, right?
When I found out they
About
were,
Rusty.
About Rusty, yes. That when I found out at the preliminary hearing that they had the relationship that they did, that was very shocking.
Yeah, it shook your world, didn't it?
Yes, but it was the first time.
Can I shake your
On
world?
July 3rd, you have no personal knowledge of what was said between your mom and the defendant on your mom and Rusty on July 3rd, 2018 at 11:45 p.m. where they talked for an hour and 14 minutes to you.
No.
You don't know what was said between your mom and Rusty on July 4th, 2018 at 2:20 a.m. where they talked for about 36 minutes, right?
No, I don't.
You do know that Rusty came back and, quote, recanted that statement in some way, right?
They said that in their preliminary hearing, yes.
But afterwards, your mother told you to go and talk to Rusty, didn't she?
She had asked me to
And y'all did talk to Rusty.
when she was arrested.
And y'all talked to him about that, right?
The only thing I remember talking to him was when I asked him, because I heard in the preliminary hearing that she said he's on the burn pile, or whatever it was. I said, did she say that? And he said no.
And you have no idea what was said between your mom and Rusty since July 5th, 2018, even up to this day, right?
No.
How would she?
You do have personal knowledge of your loyalty to your mother, though, don't you?
I have loyalty to my mother and my father, yes.
I think you said on direct your words, you said you have a loyalty to your mother to a fault.
Yes. I think anybody I feel that way towards.
And it's fair to say that you're biased in favor of your mom.
I wouldn't say how I'm biased in favor of it. I believe that somebody is innocent until they're proven guilty.
So would you say that you do believe in your mom, though?
She has told me that she's not guilty, and all I can do is believe that until somebody can prove she is guilty. So I would like to believe that my mother had nothing to do with this. Some may call it denial, but I call it honoring my mother, and I would do the exact same thing if it was for my dad.
But you won't do that same thing for Scott or Chris, though, will you?
No, we've It's very hard to explain, but not talking to them is alienating them. Again, communication is a two-way street. It's not just me that turned away, and it's okay that I turned away. It's even in the Bible that says that it's okay that I turned away.
I want to talk to you about your foundation for testifying today, some of your knowledge. Have you talked to, now, when I say this,
Out
there's
of
nothing-
order to say that, for him to ask her that to say to her that she's not giving them the presumption of innocence, basically, they're not on trial.
Yeah.
It's not their trial. So that question's completely out of order. How is that okay? Like, why is there no objection? There's not, and she doesn't need to presume they're innocent. They've not been charged.
Yeah.
When have they been charged? They've not been charged. So she doesn't. He's assuming that she has decided that they are guilty.
Yeah.
Where is that in evidence? When did she ever say that? That was never said on direct.
Mm.
Right?
No.
This is ridiculous.
Nothing wrong. The two attorneys here are honorable men. I consider them friends. They're honorable. Don't hear me saying
Aw.
that. But I did want to know, you've talked with them.
Even though they
several
shoved me in
occasions, right?
locker a
Correct.
few times.
When was the last time that you talked with Mr. Ray or Mr. Weaver?
We talked today?
Did you meet with them to practice or go over your testimony?
No.
Did you talk about what you're going to say?
No.
Did they give you? Do you have any discovery?
Do I have any discovery? No.
You haven't listened to any recordings?
No.
Have you read anything?
No.
Have you watched anything on TV?
I've seen it pop up on the news, and I've had people troll my Facebook account.
Has your husband Chad Bruce told you anything about the case?
Not that I'm aware of.
Has anybody in any
Manlet was trying to slide into her DMs.
People have tried to come up and communicate, and I have to stop them.
But you have talked to your mom about the case, and she's giving you details of her version of things, right?
She more and I talked about it the first year after this happened. When she was arrested, we had phone calls, and then it just got to a certain point. I had my son, and I didn't feel like talking about this anymore. And when she came to live with us, it was a rule that I set down, and I said, we are not going to discuss this because it was best for everybody, and it wasn't needed.
So if you can shrink the world down to the person that you've got most of your information from, it's not going to be the attorneys, correct? It's not going to be Scott and Chris, correct?
No, I guess not.
It's going to be your mom, right?
Everybody has their own opinion of everything, so I take everything with a grain of salt.
But my question is, it's going to be your mom, right?
I guess since I've seen her the most, that would make the most plausible answer, I assume.
So yes, it will be your mom.
Yes.
This isn't helping.
Mm-mm.
This is Pain 1. This was Emily's wedding, is that right?
Yes.
Now, these are better days here for the family,
It was.
and everybody's looking
Oh,
great,
man,
smiling,
let's in the
looking
picture.
It was a really good day.
wonderful. Would you like to go back to those days?
Wait, let's go back.
Aw. He looks very tall. He must have been on his little booster box there.
Is that Chris? No. Is that Chris? Wow. He looks different. Like, that's obviously Chris. Look at the size of him.
Yeah.
But wow. He looks almost like not a drunk at that point.
Yeah. Kind of looks like me.
Family,
It was.
and everybody's looking great, smiling, looking wonderful.
It was a really good day.
Would you like to be able to go back to those days?
Yes.
Now, I know a child cannot measure the love for their mother, but you do love your mom, right?
And my dad, yes.
And you are her child?
Yes.
You're her daughter?
That is correct.
You're her favorite daughter, aren't you?
I wouldn't say that.
You're her favorite child, aren't you?
I wouldn't say that.
Do you say that she has the same positive feelings towards the other three she does to you as we sit here?
I think my mother
Wait.
equally talked about us positively and negatively.
Are you serious?
You're the only child that's siding with her.
Okay, we need to stop and address this for a second. Summer Shiflett posted online that a dude tried to hit on her on day 1 of Laurie's current trial. Was it Dali? Dali? Ilya?
There was only one girl I considered hitting on, and I didn't. I pretty much stayed to myself. So it was not me. Well, I was standing next to Lauren, so.
You didn't hit on Lauren.
No.
Good. Okay, so there's a possibility that if you were to hit on someone like Summer Shiflett, that you could get an interview out of her.
Yes.
Yeah.
That I could have done. I didn't do it, but I could see a situation where I would have.
You young stallion. Off
Well,
you
not
go.
not to hit on her,
Like,
but just to talk to her to get an interview.
Summer's about 60.
60?
Oh, she's older than Laurie.
Oh yeah, then. No, that
Charlie
wasn't
isn't gay. He wouldn't hit on Lauren.
No, it was the only girl I was like, she's kind of cute. Is the girl at 12, channel 12.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's not going to help you out with interviews and stuff.
Not unless I wanted to get a job there. No.
Okay. Anyway, so you're saying you're innocent of these charges?
Yeah, it wasn't me. There was a lot of people there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm calling bullshit on this.
Now, can I just say,
Summer? What?
I am running 2025 HOA board candidate, and I put this at the beginning of the stream. You can go back and see 2025 HOA board candidate. Okay, I'm running for elected office. How the fuck do I get manlet out of here? God damn it. What? Just there. Okay, fine. Close enough. Can I just say, I run for elected position, and within 37 fucking minutes, I already have a sexual harassment allegation.
What?
Yes.
Okay, explain this in Australian. What is a HOA fucking board candidate
Association
anyway?
board candidate. I'm running for the homeowners association community.
Oh,
We have a board, and I am going to run for elected office.
You are?
Yes.
Why?
Because nobody else is.
Okay, so you're kind of like Jerry Seinfeld's dad trying to run for the office and like the Del Boca Vista apartment complex.
Exactly.
Okay, so please, can you move on to the sexual harassment charge?
And now they're saying like I'm hitting on somebody on the Lori Vallow trial and being all inappropriate. Right. And now these slanderous lies are coming out about me.
I see.
It's not
you
true.
Think that's gonna hinder your election. I see.
Trying to tar me with a feather. I did not grab anyone. It was just locker room talk.
It's locker room talk, yeah. Yes. But there is the pin collection.
God damn it! I was supposed to keep that quiet.
There are many videos about it.
Damn it! Okay, I'm gonna have to scrub my YouTube.
Yeah.
Get them off your back about your broken blinds. There's several reasons why. I kind of want to do it like copy Donald Trump's plan and just like have a red hat that's like make HOA great again. And just like I'm gonna build a wall and make Mesa pay for it, and just all kinds of like Trump, or maybe build a moat.
A moat. I'll help you with your merchandise.
There we go, and just be really obnoxious about it. I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
That woman. Brilliant.
All right.
All right, that was great. Let's keep going.
And I did have the HOA
Good
board
for that,
candidate at the beginning of the stream. I was hoping somebody would notice and nobody did. So
What
I
did you
just
say? Where?
2025 HOA board candidate
Where?
under Dolly.
Oh, it's underneath your name?
Yeah. It was there all stream. And then Mafka swains in here.
Okay, you need to do a whole stream on this.
I may. I just, the HOA woman just sent out like a second email saying, like, begging somebody to run and saying, oh, we have nobody. We need to find somebody. I'm just like, God damn it.
You need to do like an electoral promo video.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yes.
So, yeah, I'm thinking like the main reason is to, one, be an asshole about it to them. And two, it would make great stream content. If I can just, as long as it doesn't take too much time. So we'll see, but it's kind of like,
Do a really shitty job of it. It'd be funny.
oh yeah, just to be obnoxious.
Yeah. Well, you're good at that.
Well, yeah. I don't have to try.
No.
I'm the one that's choosing to believe that she's innocent until proven guilty.
It's your belief. I understand that. But again, my question is, you're the only one that's on her side or choosing to believe as you do, correct?
I'm
You're
the only
the
one
only
choosing
one on
to
her
believe in the justice
side.
system.
And you're the only one that's had a continuing relationship with her since the murder of your father, right?
Yes.
In fact, at times, you've not only been a daughter and a child of her, but you've been an advocate for her, right?
I have been a support system in the sense of I had to be the strength when nobody else would be.
And what I mean by that, there are times that she would call you from jail or contact you somehow when she's out, and she would ask you to go and talk to other people and do things, right?
Correct.
She would get you, whether it's with the house or a meeting with the attorney, she wanted you to relay certain information. Is that fair?
She wanted to, but sometimes I would, sometimes I wouldn't. A lot of times I would say yeah, and then I wouldn't do it.
But times you would, right?
Yes.
And you haven't heard the jail calls that we have between you and her. You haven't seen that at trial, have you?
No.
So you don't know what has been said between you and her that the jury already knows about, right?
No, I know it. Potentially, if I heard it, I would obviously, if it was a conversation between us.
And you agree with me that your relationship with your brothers and sisters has soured since all this happened?
Unfortunately.
And it upsets you because they're not taking up for your mom, right?
No, it upsets me because it shows how much that they love me. It has nothing to do with her. It has everything to do with I'm their sister, and they left me.
You feel like you've been abandoned?
Yes, I lost my whole family that day.
Would you agree with me that you lost your family because your father's been murdered?
That was the cause and reaction, I guess you would say.
And from their standpoint, it's fair to see that they have feelings that their mother has murdered their father, so they have hard feelings because of that.
And rightfully so.
Oh, wrong answer.
Now, you talk about, I was asking you earlier about your beliefs and your opinions on things, and you do give some information. Like, do you remember telling the defense on direct examination that on July 4th of 2018, you just wanted to have a quiet time with your family at Lake Lanier? Is that
What I want every day of my life.
And you talked about that's because there was drama with Chris and Jenna the year before, right?
Correct.
There's usually more to the story than just what one side brings out at times. Is that true?
I could say that's true.
Your husband, Chad Bruce, is kind of a prankster. He teases people, doesn't he?
He's funny. He likes to have fun.
Oh,
So you
where's
talk about
this
Jenna being
going?
upset that day and all that, but that day in 2017, y'all actually scared Jenna twice, didn't you?
It may have been twice. I know of once because she was not very happy with me.
You know, one time when she was sitting in the car and went up and scared her. The next time y'all hid behind a bush when she came by and scared her again, right?
I know about the bush, yes.
Yeah. And then she got so upset that afterwards because she didn't want to be scared, and you did it twice, that she actually kicked a drink and went all over you and Chad, right?
Correct.
And you basically had to talk to Chad and say, hey,
I mean, I wouldn't have to talk to him, but
it made y'all mad, didn't it?
I wouldn't say it made us mad. We were just like, I think that was a bit of an overreaction. We were just having a good time.
Well, you tell other people that at that point you decided to never go back out with him again.
That was because of their drinking.
So you're single?
But you can understand if you get scared twice, it can upset people, right?
I understand that it was insensitive at the time, but it was all in good fun.
Could be
The
bullying.
girls were with us when we did that, I believe. I'm almost positive that they were with us.
Well, it could be offensive or bullying somebody if you do it twice in one day, right?
I think that's a bit much to say. They're my brother and my sister-in-law. I've known them forever.
But that's how you felt about it, right?
What do you mean?
How you feel about the situation is kind of your beliefs, right?
I guess you'd say that. Yes, everybody has their own opinion.
Now, through this, there's been times when you talked about, you had a lot of emotions earlier today. You were crying a lot, and it's tough for you, is it? to do this, isn't it?
Yes, I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. This is the worst thing anybody could go through.
But throughout this process, you actually had different emotions where you were angry or irritated towards your family. Is that fair?
I had a lot of anger for many years after this.
And how we see you today, how you emote today, it's not necessarily how you emoted on a jail call or how you had your emotions you would have around Scott
A
and Chris.
jail call.
Yeah, I've done a lot. I've come in a relationship with God, and I've had my son, and that has drastically changed my life and my outlook and how I handle certain situations.
And so you have gotten upset and gotten on them, barked back with them as they barked with you in the past, right?
I would say so. I mean, I've reviewed text messages knowing that this trial has come, and I know that I understand why they feel the way they do. I do. I really do understand, and they're grateful for
don't
that.
say
But I
that.
don't feel like the way that they treated me in response was needed, to the point of where when my dad's mother died, they didn't even tell me she had a stroke and she was on her deathbed. I had to find out through my aunt on social media because my siblings didn't even have the common courtesy to tell me.
You're upset with them.
At that time, yes.
And there are two main categories that y'all were, whether you want to say arguing or disagreeing over, having hard times over. It was the murder of your father, that's one, right?
Yes, very
And
hard.
then the other is, what do we do with the estate afterwards, correct?
Correct.
So one was the murder, the other was kind of related to money or property, right?
It was always an argument. It couldn't ever be civil. It always had to be an issue. And I was doing everything that was legal. I worked with the estate attorney. I did everything I was supposed to, and everybody knew what I was doing.
And I think the term you're trying to find earlier, because I'm a lawyer and I forget it too, because I don't do that as a temporary administrator of the estate.
Sounds correct.
And that's what Chris was he had been appointed temporary administrator.
He had petitioned or whatever, I don't know what you call it, but he went to the courthouse and was able to get.
Right. And so if someone dies without a will, their estate is probated, has to go through the court system, correct?
As far as I know, yes.
I mean, that's why you got other people, you got a third party, I think you described as, it's in the court system, right?
Yes, I wanted somebody that was not tied to the family to handle it.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's common sense. That's very good because family can have lots of hard feelings or strong feelings, right?
Yes.
So a third party is a good thing, correct?
Absolutely.
But until you get to that, sometimes the family has to be involved in what's going on, right?
Correct.
And when you try to get property back, because part of the thing that you have to do is make sure that the estate doesn't dissipate or go away. You have to protect it.
Correct.
So your view may be when it comes to getting things back like the Mercedes or something like that, you may disagree in how they're doing it, but you would agree that they would have a duty to try to make sure all property is accounted for, right?
Absolutely.
It just upset you that it was your brother at the times and the way you did it.
I was upset because I was having to pay car insurance, and then I had to drop car insurance on, I think, the Sequoia or something. But basically, he was taking his truck and the Sequoia and things like that. But it was always an argument, and I didn't want to be responsible for any of it anymore.
You didn't ask for any of this, did you?
God,
No, you don't want this. No.
no.
You know, they say most divorces happen over money. You've heard that before?
Yes.
Money causes a lot of problems in many ways, right? But in your situation, you not only have money, but you have murder, right?
I guess, yeah.
I mean, you agree your father was murdered, right?
Yes.
Now, when your mom, at times, through years, she was living with you and Chad at one point?
In the very beginning, yes, and then after she came home, yeah.
She would eat your food, use your resources, stay at your house, things like that?
Stayed to my house.
Stay. She would use your
Oh,
resources,
stay.
your food, money,
She was
electricity.
100% reliant on me.
Now, do you know David and Alan?
Yes.
You see Alan here in court today?
Yes.
They're good friends,
Of hers, yes.
and they've been helping her out during this time?
I believe so, yes.
Let me ask you some questions about your dad. As you look at the photograph, was this a happy day for everybody?
It was.
How much you love your dad?
My dad? He's the best thing that ever happened to me.
Why does he keep showing the photo to her?
He was a great provider.
Absolutely.
He would take care of Chris.
He took care of all of us.
You, Scott, Emily, provided everything for y'all, right?
Yes.
And he gave money to them.
Yes.
And at times, you understand that
Yeah,
his money, the
Kenny.
money he earned, that's his money. You can also say it's her money too, but he's earned that money. You
Well,
understand that that's his money.
He can do
He's
whatever he
used to
wants.
making women
He can do
cry,
whatever he
so
wants. So if he wanted to treat one child different from another child, he could do that, right?
it's just a
That's
typical
right.
That
date
was
for
his
him.
prerogative. If he wanted to give money to Chris,
Well,
even when Chris is
usually
not
they
doing
made
what he
him
should be
cry.
doing in your eyes, he could still do
Wow.
that, right?
It was his money.
Yeah, if he wants Scott to live in the land and just kind of freeload for a while until he gets his feet, if it was beneficial for him, he could do that.
Depends if
right?
they wake up in his bed in the
If he wanted to
morning.
Give Emily money for something, give her a loan or whatever it was. It's his money. He could do that, right?
All you had to do was ask.
But there are many times that you would disagree with that and voice your disagreement to other people, right?
Repeat that?
You would have your own opinions at times that you didn't like that.
He told me he was very upset. He made it clear that he did not necessarily like giving out money. He told me that directly.
My question is that you would voice to other people throughout this process that you didn't think it was fair, you didn't like how Chris or Scott or Emily were using, getting money from your dad. You didn't like that, did you?
I think they needed to grow up and stop asking their dad for money.
And you made it known to many people that that's how you felt, right?
I guess.
Your dad gave you, I think, 2 cars, is that right?
We all got a new vehicle when we got our driver's license.
Pay for your college when you went?
Yep.
Pay for your apartment?
At college, yes.
Gave you $8,000 for the venue for your wedding?
You prick.
I think it was 6, maybe 8.
6
I don't know, something like that. It was just the deposit. Well, didn't give me the money, but he paid for it.
Do you know how much you paid overall for your wedding?
I didn't get to have a wedding, so just the deposit on Foxhall.
You didn't have a wedding?
I had a wedding, but Chad and I fully funded it.
And did you know that your mother, you know if your mother ever asked Emily back for the loan? That
She
your
had
dad
said
gave her?
something about Emily having a loan.
Did you know that, do you know whether or not your mother, after the death of your dad, went to Emily and said, I need that money back?
I think so, but I'm not 100% sure.
Did your mom ask any money back from you for anything?
She wouldn't need money from me.
She didn't ask you for any money back, did she?
I mean, I had to support her, but I never had taken cash from my father since I was in my early 20s.
You made on direct, you talked about that your dad's view was, I think he actually said to you, you told law enforcement in an interview that your dad said something along the lines of, once you're married, done, no exceptions. Do you remember that?
I don't know in what context you mean.
When it came to you talking
Would
about
I
the
be an
view of your
exception?
father, you know there was troubles with Ted Wiley, how your dad viewed marriage, because you talked to him one day, I think, about after he helped you move out of the apartment with her other boyfriend. Y'all sitting in a restaurant eating. Your mom gets up, remember that, and you say, Dad,
She wasn't there with us.
Okay. Do you remember telling law enforcement or statements that your dad's view was basically once it's a marriage you're in?
He said he loved her and he wanted to be with her.
You remember there was a time you said that, I think you were talking to Cameron, insisting that she understands that in marriage, if you make a vow to somebody, you take that seriously.
I don't recall that.
Remember your dad saying, in your words, saying something like, I'm glad one of my children understands the loyalty you're supposed to have in a marriage?
That could sound something like my dad would say.
So in your mind, is it accurate to say, in your mind, what you understood your dad, once he was in this marriage with the defendant, he was not going to divorce her?
No, he never seemed at one point that he was going to divorce her.
So she was stuck in the marriage because he wasn't going to divorce her.
I begged them both to divorce each other because they were miserable, and I was sick of hearing about it.
So it would have taken something outside of your dad for the marriage, for her to leave that marriage, right?
One more time, I'm sorry.
It would have taken something outside of your dad. Your mother would have to do something to leave that marriage.
No, I think my mother could have left at any time, and so could my dad. They both were grown. I think they could have both made that decision, but I think they just wanted to stay married.
At some point, you thought your dad was paranoid about your mom cheating on him. Is that true?
I think that's fair to say ever since she had the affair with Ted.
Right, and the word you used when you talked to law enforcement, you just said you thought your dad was paranoid about your mom possibly cheating on him. You ever use that word paranoid?
Well, if it
No, but
could be
rightfully
true,
so,
is
if
it
you want a partner
paranoia?
that cheats on you, I don't think that feeling would ever go away.
But have you come to learn that she actually was cheating on your dad with Rusty?
But since then, yes,
It's not paranoia when it's true, correct?
absolutely. I don't blame him for how he felt.
But that other piece of evidence that you didn't have, that new information that she was having an affair with Rusty, that changes things, doesn't it?
I mean, in what sense?
That you thought your dad one time was paranoid because you thought mom was not cheating. Then you get new facts, evidence, and find out mom's cheating. That changes your view on things, doesn't it? To
It
some
changes
degree.
my views, but at the same time, it wasn't shocking because I knew what she did with Ted.
So facts and other things that come to light can have an effect on how you view things, right?
I think it can.
Now, you say that you did not know about Rusty Barton and the affair. Is that right?
We knew of him. There were rumors. I don't remember from who. He was in the picture. I knew he was at Emily's wedding. I didn't know why he was there. I remember my mom and him dancing and all of that, and I got upset. And
This is pane 3. Do you see Rusty in the background there?
I do.
See him? See him in the background there with your mom?
I do.
That's pane 4. Pane 5.
Oh,
You
this
see
is
Rusty in the
pictures
background
of
with your mom?
Rusty again.
Pane 6 in the
Skulking
background.
around in the background.
See him over here with your mom? Your mom's right through here.
Yes.
See him with Chad
There
right
he
here?
is.
Yes. Chad met
Look at
everybody.
Rusty.
We were 6 months dating.
Ooh, Rusty, he's looking sexy. Oh,
And then-
there he is.
Pane 9. You see him there?
Oh, he's dancing.
Correct.
It's pane 10.
Oh,
He's right there with your dad.
he's right there.
Correct.
Is it not true that you knew about Rusty and the affair at that point?
Not the depths of anything. I just knew he was I knew he was related to Martha Jane. That was the depth of it. And then my dad would always say something or Scott would say something, but I tried to stay out of it. I didn't want to get involved.
And
What is a
did you
BK
not get
crown?
upset
What is
when
that?
Sister and brother see you
Oh,
upset
Burger
simply
King.
because of Rusty was there?
But
I don't know if they saw me, but
Was it
I know
not?
that
we could put him in a
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just, I remember if
A what?
We could also just put him on a box. Like he has to stand
I'll
on a
make him
box.
taller.
Well, you'd shrink him, then put him on a box.
I'll shrink him, then put him on a box.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Hey, Rachel. How are you? All right. Thank you for the memberships. So Darlie gets to choose. So we put him on a box. We shrink him. Then we put him on a box.
Yeah.
Done. Okay. Sweet.
vaguely, I was intoxicated that night. But I remember he was there, and I don't condone that kind of behavior. I don't. So I can see where I would have gotten upset.
Oh.
It's just a situation where you see something like that, you just purposely, just almost have ignorance, almost just saying, I don't want to see what's happening.
Partially that, and I knew my dad knew he was there. If my dad accepted it, then I followed my dad's lead.
And you don't know, or do you know what things, how your dad has told other people, how he felt, how that affected him? Do you have any idea what he said? Or text or anything?
No, I didn't like to, after Ted, I told him, and the offensive pictures he sent me and the way he involved me with that, I made it very clear I didn't want to be involved.
So why did you tell law enforcement on July that you didn't know anything about the Rusty Barton affair?
In July,
2018.
because I didn't know the depths of anything.
But this was 2016.
I didn't, honestly, I wouldn't have, I knew he was there, but I didn't know, I thought he was related to Martha Jane. And then I just saw the way that they were interacting, and that wasn't normal.
You have learned some new information in this case, but I want to know, in the beginning, you just thought that your dad had heat stroke or something and had maybe passed out on the property on July.
Anything could have
2000.
been possible.
But that's what you were thinking. Maybe he had heat stroke or something, right?
Yeah.
And then when his remains were found in the burn pile, you were thinking, you were not thinking murder or anything, thinking maybe he just had a medical episode and fell in, correct?
Correct.
You told law enforcement, I just don't know. I just don't know. You were kind of, you just didn't know what happened, right?
I was in shock.
Yeah, in shock. You were able to talk to
Frozen shock.
Sergeant Hands and then
Fact.
Detective Hayes.
I don't remember talking to Hands. All I remember was talking to Hayes. And again, Hayes could have told me I don't remember anything.
Right. And sometimes when we have something in our evidence called excited utterance. Sometimes when you're in shock or under distress, you don't have time to come up with
You
clever
right?
things or things. You just come off and just state what's in your heart, right?
I would assume.
So in many ways, being under stress or being under that excitement, you just say what is really there, right?
I guess.
When you learned the first time about your dad having a bullet in him, how did that make you feel?
Confused. Shocked.
Mavka, if you want the outfit
mother
that
was
tell
the
us
first
what
person
you're going
to
to have to
tell me.
pay.
And I didn't want to believe it. And then we had Manny there.
I was involved?
He was telling us it could be a lie. You know, you have people sitting there going, well, it may not be true. Or, so you don't know.
I think on July 6th of 2018, at the Freeholm Precinct, your mother walked out after being interviewed by Detective Hayes, and you said your mother told you. But isn't it more accurate that Detective Hayes looks at your mom and says, have you told him yet? He actually had to prompt her to tell you about the bullet, right?
It would have been the night of July 5th because we had been out at the property all day long, out in the heat, and he finally asked them to go down, and Chad and I drove down there with them and waited as they interviewed Scott and my mother, and that's when she came out. He may have been talking to Scott at that time, but she said they're saying your daddy was shot, and I think that was pretty much about it.
Your dad
Detective
was
Hayes
shot.
have you told him yet, right?
Yes, she told me it was Hayes that told her, and she told me.
He says that she put her face in her hands, is that right?
I don't recall.
Let me ask you about some things that you didn't know. You say you did not know about the affair with Rusty, is that right?
Not what I know now.
Right. But in July of 2018, your testimony is you did not know about Rusty, is that correct?
I had heard rumors from the family that tried to ignore.
You didn't know about your mother's second or burner phone?
Scott had always been
No,
saying
that's
that she had a second
fine.
phone. I
Yeah,
never asked her
right.
about it. I didn't want to get involved.
Are you familiar with the last four digits of a phone number 1987 that your mother had?
No, 9029 was the only one I had.
Okay. Do you know whether or not your mother had a burner phone or another phone?
I purchased a phone for her right after all this happened because I needed a way to communicate to her, and then I bought another one probably in 2020.
Okay. But do you know about a phone number she had that ended in 1987 that she used to talk exclusively with Rusty?
No,
So you don't know about that?
only from Scott going and saying that he saw her with two phones. That's all I knew.
And those two phones would have been before the phones that you got here, right?
Correct.
Do you know about your mom meeting Rusty almost weekly at times in Dalton?
Not until a preliminary hearing.
But you didn't know about that before?
No,
right?
sir.
So before you knew about that, you believed your mother that she had not committed this crime, right?
Before that, I believe she didn't commit the crime.
Right.
That is correct.
And even knowing about the burner phone and the affairs with Rusty and in the burn pile, you still believe your mother hasn't committed this murder,
She
right?
told me she didn't do it, and she's never given me any reason to believe otherwise.
All right, let's talk about things to believe otherwise. Judge, may I approach? So first, I'm going to put this, Judge, this time I tender evidence, A Farris 1.
No objection.
We'll put it on the screen to the left. Your belief system when it comes to your mother comes from, in many ways, doesn't come from the evidence, it's coming from your worldview or your the way you see things. Is that fair?
Yes, and probably a little bit of denial.
I want to go to, this is A Farris 1. It's a phone extraction. And it contains text messages between, is it her? Is it her? Okay, this is your mother's phone. And I'm on page 2 of the screen here. It's kind of hard, but there's this from and to. Mm-hmm. This is from your mom to you. Did you know about your mother going to Jamaica with Rusty?
No.
In September the 3rd of 2017, did you have any idea that she had gone on to, I think it had something with hedonism or hedonistic or something like that, a resort in Jamaica?
No.
All right. If you would, this is from her to you. See your phone number, everything there?
Correct.
What is the date of this text message?
9/3/17.
Keto 2. Yeah, Mepco. What's going on here?
And I'm back.
You like?
I love it.
Oh, what are they doing?
Come on. They went to sidebar after Hito? Come on. We need to
Yes,
go back.
they did. They're discussing Hito.
Would you like to go to Hito with me, ma'am?
Yeah, Bubby.
Can I sit in the corner? Can I sit on
You'd
the chair?
have to. They don't allow small people.
Yes, the mother really went to Hito.
Yep, with Rusty.
Yeah, she bumped into Ricada.
Mm.
That part didn't happen.
Well, bumped into.
Well, it could have happened. I mean, I don't know when she went, but it's a nice place.
Apparently. Nice. She's all like, I remember those days.
A Farris 1. Let's do it this way.
Oh, do we have photos
one?
of Hito?
Oh, please.
Oh,
Keep
please.
that one blank so the jury can see from this screen and follow along, but then that's not being put on the camera.
So, Judge, I just saw another place on here as we scroll.
So that's fine. I mean, they're not looking at this screen, and they got it killed back there, so we're good.
Melody like Star Trek Deep Space Nine, I bet.
Arguably, we'll see.
Maybe you understand what we're trying to do, right?
I'll find out tonight when I.
Right. We're trying to keep some things redacted. So my understanding, Judge, is her phone number,
Right.
other information is not going to go on the internet.
That's what we're hoping to try to do. All right,
We're good.
Let's do this.
You're
Getting
gonna
back,
blur out the Jamaican
you did not
mom.
know about your mom going on a trip with Rusty to Jamaica. Is that right?
That's correct. I did not know.
On September 3rd, 2017, at 9:10 a.m., your mother sends you this text message. Can you just read out loud for us the body of the text message?
It's really nice at Jamaica. I had fun with the black gentleman at the pool.
Family there, cabin in the woods. Call you in a.
Wait. There's something about Minnesota in there as well. Look.
Information is not going to go on the internet.
That's
On September 3rd, 2017, at 9:10 a.m., your mother sends you this text message. Can you just read out loud for us the body of the text message?
Sherry has talked me into going with her to Minnesota, leaving this afternoon. Be back by next weekend. That's her home, family there, cabin in the woods. Call you in a bit.
You responded on 9/3/2017 at 9:10 a.m. saying, walking into Cracker Barrel now. Is that right?
Correct.
Tell her to respond again, leaving the phone in the car. Is that right?
That was me or her. I don't know. Sure.
Guys, this isn't funny,
September 9th,
guys.
2017 at 3:52 p.m. She sends you a text message.
Speaking of
and
Hito,
read that, what she tells you about where she's at.
Sherry and I are on way back. Family cabin in woods. Cell service was bad there. Everything okay.
got the naked twister set.
September 9th, 2017, 4:05 p.m. You text her. What do you say?
Yeah, I tried calling you a couple of times. I got Emily's baby shower invitation. Otherwise, everything's same as usual. Did you have fun?
Oh yeah, had fun.
September 10th, 2017, she texted you. What did she say?
So much fun. No contact with anyone. Read a book. Got some
Snapchat,
sun.
stop it.
Let you know when we get back. Taking our
Read a
time driving,
book.
enjoying
The Kama Sutra.
You knew where she was in the sense of being in Minnesota based on what she tells you. Is that right?
Yeah, I don't remember these text messages, but I took her word for it.
You've taken her word on a lot of things, haven't you?
That's all you can do with people, I guess.
She's never admitted to you that she went for a week or so to Jamaica with Rusty.
No.
Did you know about the credit card that Rusty had given her?
I think after the preliminary hearing, but I'm not 100% sure.
Do you know about the tattoo XO that she had?
I think Ella or Addison had mentioned it, but I personally never saw it.
Did she ever say whether or not that was related to Rusty in any way?
Made Rusty
No.
put on the
You know
ball
that she was with
though.
Rusty when she got the tattoo?
Wouldn't have known that either.
You didn't answer those questions?
Why would I? Ella and Addison told me about it. I didn't get involved.
But on July 5th of 2019, when you watched the prelim, you actually told her that you were taking notes on everything that was said during the prelim, right?
Yeah, it was a lot of information coming at once.
You didn't feel the need to go and confront her and say, why haven't you told me this, or why have you lied to me about this?
I don't know if I did or not. I don't remember. I mean, she was arrested at that point. I just don't remember.
Did you know about her vanishing at times after the murder of your father and going up and seeing Rusty?
There was one time that she had left. Scott and Chris and I all knew about it, and she said to me that she was going to see Martha Jane.
Do you know whether or not she's seeing Martha Jane or seeing Rusty?
I had to take her word for it. I didn't know that she was. I knew she was with the rest when she got arrested because she called me and said that they had a warrant and she was going in. I had just gotten off work and I was shocked.
When it comes to what you believe and don't believe, we know that you believe your mom is what you testified to, but
Would you believe I'm
you don't
6
really believe
inches?
what your other family members were telling you, right?
No, I believe I think we all have our own opinions, and I think that they deserve to have their own opinion. I never asked them to, from what I recall, to believe her. I just said to give her the benefit of the doubt and let the justice system, let the investigators do their job.
But there were times where even though it was testified to in the prelim about a bullet, for the longest time, you never wanted to believe. You believe law enforcement was lying to y'all about a bullet being found with your father.
That's what the attorney said.
But
So
you
it was
believed it,
hard
right?
to, I wouldn't say I didn't know what to believe.
Well, you didn't come out and say, I do believe it. You were the same people, you weren't certain of that, right?
I didn't know what was true.
There's some dates that you were interviewed or gave interviews. There's 4 that I have here. Do you remember giving an interview on Thursday, July 5th of 2018, about 23 minutes with Detective Hayes?
It was July 5th?
The day your father was found
Yeah.
at the scene.
I was standing at the fence, and I think he was recording me on like a tape recorder or something, I think.
And do you remember giving an interview on Wednesday, July 11, 2018, with a phone call with Detective Hayes talking about they had frozen some of your money, I think $800 or something. Do you remember calling him about that?
I know that, so when I was in middle school and I got my first checking account, we somehow like opened it under my dad. It wasn't his account. I didn't have access to his account, but somehow, some way, my account was attached and they shut down all of my financials as well. Well, I say all my financials, my one checking account.
And then the third interview, Thursday, November 15th, 2018, about 14 minutes long. You actually returned a phone call to Detective Hayes about some air being deflated in y'all's car.
I don't know if I talked to Hayes about it, but my tires went flat on the left side of my car in my driveway.
And then there was a final interview that I have Friday, April the 24th of 2020. It was about 4 hours long. You went and spoke with ADA Zach Smith,
Yeah, that's what he said.
and you went and talked to him. Is that right?
Yeah, Zach was a nice guy. He approached me after being here one day. I don't know if it was the preliminary or something, and he kindly asked me, because I was a little upset that nobody wanted to talk to me. I'm like, it made no sense to me that I wasn't talked to, and I was like, you know what, since he asked so nicely, and I think it was a couple of times, and I was like, okay, I'll
Oh,
sit down and
lady,
talk to
you have no idea.
And we
So
had a
naive.
good conversation. He was a very nice man. I
He's
think
not
one of
a
the
nice
detectives
man.
was there as
No.
well.
Oh God.
I'm going to go through, I got some questions about the first interview.
Because it answers if she believed it was 6 inches.
So Thursday, July 5th, 2018. Do you remember you staying that? So that was Thursday, but staying that the night before, your mother called you and said that she was going to the barn to let the goats out or put the goats up or do whatever they do.
Oh, the
I
goats.
don't recall.
Would there be any reason that would be? Would that be consistent with what your mom would do?
Yes, sir.
It would be.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so she would know and go let the goats out and do stuff like that.
Yeah, especially if Scott wasn't there.
He got so angry when I
Your
went
mom
to feed
saying
the
that she woke
baby
up
goats.
on, Thursday when y'all found your dad. Before that, about 8:15, she called you and said she was going to Walmart.
Possibly. I think so. I'm not 100% sure. But that would not shock me to see she went to Walmart.
And one of the things with your dad, if he would not be at the house, if he would leave, you knew that he would always take his car and his wallet with him.
That would make sense.
And on the 5th, when law enforcement was there, you described that once the remains were found, you kind of went into full panic mode.
Yes.
So what happened?
I went in shock.
Do you remember your mother telling you that your dad was burning stuff on the burn pile on Tuesday?
That was, yes, because Chris was dropping off Addison or went up there for something, and so he was burning shrubbery and things like that.
In fact, that you had walked by the burn pile on the 5th and it was still hot.
Yes, sir.
Now, as you were looking for your dad, you did go down to the basement, to his office down there, and you found where he had sent an email Tuesday morning at about 8:30. Remember that?
I couldn't get on his computer. His
No, you
computer.
found some paperwork or something down there?
Oh, I don't recall. I just remember trying to tap on his keyboard, but he always had a password on it. I couldn't.
Oh, she's shapeshifting.
To refresh your memory, just to look at something, see if you can remember. This is a not official transcript of hearing you, but I'm going to show you something from your
Oh,
Oh, no.
page 6 or whatever.
sir, can you buy me dinner first?
Just to yourself, just those two paragraphs.
Which these two?
Yes, ma'am, just right there, I'll give you the context of it.
Okay.
Do you remember now going down to his office and finding an email?
No.
What?
That morning, you did walk up to the barn and saw the tractor, is that right?
I really don't remember if I saw the tractor or not. I would assume I did. Hard to miss.
Do you remember telling law enforcement that's how Mom and Scott knew they did something with the tractor yesterday because the tractor had been moved and the RTV had been moved?
No, sorry, I don't remember that.
You still have that same piece of paper there in front of you?
Yes, sir.
Look at paragraph that says, I was like, well, just read that one to yourself.
No. Uh-huh. Okay.
All right, now, does that refresh your memory that you did say that that's how Mom and Scott, they knew they did something yesterday because the tractor had been moved and RTV had been moved?
Unfortunately not.
Do you remember telling law enforcement that you can tell that, I can tell you that tractor's always parked underneath the same awning if they are not doing something with it?
I knew it was always parked under the same awning.
So that tractor, as far as you knew, if it was not being done, it would be parked under that awning and not out as it was that day on the 5th.
That's where it was normally parked, but I don't know if they were doing something. It could have been very well left out. I wasn't involved in their day-to-day farming activities.
And you had a view that sometimes you're. Is it not true that sometimes you felt like that your dad saw you as your mother's twin?
She said he would say like you kind of you're I don't know how because I don't see it, but I think that maybe that might have something. He may have said something like that.
And you told law enforcement that thought maybe your dad had you as trying to get his money.
I don't about me trying to get his money.
But your dad thought you were your mother's twin, maybe trying to get his money.
No, I don't think it in that sense. I think it in the way of like our behavior, I guess, in the sense of I don't really know how to put it, but it didn't have anything to do with her money. I never asked him for anything.
She's the only one who
Except for my
didn't
money.
ask him
But he
for
gave me
stuff.
permission for that.
Would it help to refresh your memory? So it would help to look at another thing.
Sure.
This is page 9 for the record. Just read that to yourself, that top paragraph.
Okay.
So does that refresh your memory that you did say that sometimes he thought of you as your mother's twin, or I guess was
I knew that he thought we looked similar or acted similar, I guess. So I knew he thought we had similarities.
and that essentially you were the only child. You said you were the only child that was not trying to get the money. Is that right?
That's correct.
Because that's how you felt. Is that you were the only one not trying to get the money.
Money didn't mean anything to me.
Right. But your dad did provide a lot of help to Scott, especially, and Chris and Emily, right?
Yes, because they asked for it,
They relied on him in many ways for finances, right?
unfortunately.
And your dad, when Chad went, he asked your mom and dad for your hand in marriage and went to him and asked him to be married, right?
He did.
That was a happy time for you.
It was.
Yeah, your dad was happy, wasn't
Yes.
he? Yeah. He was happy that Chad was coming to you.
Good Chad's a good man, yeah.
Yeah, and Chad would kind of joke around and kid with your dad because your dad smokes cigarettes and he vapes, so they kind of hang out.
Yeah.
And your husband Chad is he's a big guy, right?
I'm not as big as my brother.
Oh, yeah, baby.
He's a tough guy.
6'1".
Yeah, he's a tough guy, isn't
He's an alpha male.
he? Yeah, he is. And he's loyal to you, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
And loves you to death.
I hope so.
Bigger than you.
Loved your dad.
Yes.
Tried to hang out with him.
That's not difficult.
And in fact, it hurt you when your dad approached you and thought that maybe Chad was doing something with Melody.
Correct.
That really made you angry.
Yes.
But he did come to you and say something to you about that.
He
didn't
called me, and then when I immediately told him that there was no way that could possibly be true, and he was like, "I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry. I'm sorry," because they would work him up, and then I would talk to him and be like, "I'm sorry," and we were fine after that.
And your husband, now fiance, back in 2018, had a very close relationship with your mom.
My husband had a normal mother-in-law, father-in-law relationship. He has a
Yes,
very
been
strong
around. That
sense
was a
of
big
family.
manlet.
And being with those that you love, and I think that's why I tried to spend so much time with him in the year leading up to this, is because I really wanted to kindle what relationship I could with my parents.
It was attractive what Chad, how he felt about family, right?
He's a good family man.
But he would talk to your mom and text almost every day.
I wouldn't say every day, but I mean, they had a friend. I talked to my mom every day, so it was about the same as me, I guess.
But he would talk or communicate very often with your mom.
I don't know as very often would be, but I mean, they weren't strangers.
I mean, they're friends.
I guess you
Interesting.
could say that.
Enjoyed doing stuff together.
Only if I was there. What do you mean by?
No, I mean with you. He was not opposed to your
Yeah,
mom.
yeah. I mean, it was me and Chad, and then it was hanging out with my family. So he was very cordial, very polite.
Gets along with your mom.
Yeah,
Not
he didn't
against
want to try to start turmoil or anything.
Now, he's not against your mom even today, right?
No,
But Scott opposed the marriage a little bit. When he went and asked Scott, was like, "Nah, I don't think this is right or too soon."
that's what I heard.
That didn't make you feel good either, did it?
It's
What's
typical
that got
Scott.
to do with Scott? He
One of the things
opposed
you
the
talk about in law
marriage?
enforcement is that on July 4th, Emily sent out a group text to everybody, including your dad. Do you remember that?
Scott's a
On
dick.
July 4th, we were at Lake Lanier, and I don't know who. I know Emily was in it, and I know I was in it because she sent a picture of Olivia, and I sent back a picture of Chad and I at Lake Lanier Islands.
About 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Emily sent out a group text saying Olivia misses everybody or something, says hey or something like that,
Believe
right?
so.
And you thought that was odd because your dad, you said she always sends it out, but he never answered back, and he always answers back, always. Your dad would always answer those group texts. wouldn't
Unless he was busy doing something, but yeah.
he? Now, you use the word always several times. That's just what your dad would do. He would respond to the group text with Emily.
And I don't think he would ignore anybody's text messages, but
And you thought that was strange at the end at that time.
not at that time, no.
But looking back now, you
Looking back on it, yes, but there's been moments in our text messages where I would say something and he wouldn't reply back, and he would text me and I wouldn't reply back.
And then when you were talking to Higgs, you talked about that your mother, the issue of his wallet came up, and she said his wallet was in the car. You said your mother said that the wallet was in the car. Do you remember that?
I think she said it was in the car. I just remember that at some point, I think she came out with it. It showed up.
And you talked about that your dad was a workaholic. He loved to work.
Yes.
And he would be
100%
working
half
all the
Irish.
time.
Yes.
Does it surprise you, or is it shocking to you that during that first conversation you didn't mention anything about the guns with Scott?
What do you mean?
You didn't say anything about guns
During what conversation? I'm
with
sorry.
Hayes, Detective Hayes.
I couldn't think straight.
Do you remember saying that you were upset or angry with the sheriff's office because they made y'all wait outside in the hot sun until they talked to you?
That was a long day. It was
It
a
was
painful
long
day.
Very painful day. And they were just trying to figure out what was happening with your dad. So it's a process, right?
As the years have gone, I understand that they had a job to do, and their feelings about our emotions were not at the top of their list.
And from that very first day, you were frustrated with law enforcement, how long they were taking what they were doing, how they were talking to your mom and things like that. You were just frustrated and irritated with law enforcement.
I think it was a natural sense of being upset with the situation. I think I was angry for many years.
And then on Wednesday, July 11, 2018, do you remember calling Detective Hayes and basically saying that the sheriff's office had improperly frozen your account? That was like $808 or something.
I mean, it was a normal phone call, but I told him that my bank account was frozen because it was somehow tied to my dad's from when I first opened it up. And they asked me to provide like 6 months of records, I think it was. So I pulled them from my Wells Fargo account, and they had it unlocked quickly, from what I can't recall. But I had live paychecks at the time, so I just used my husband's money, and then I got my next check, so it wasn't a huge problem.
And then in November 15, 2018, you actually had an incident where someone came up and deflated the tires at your residence in Hall County. Don't give us your address, but it was in Hall County at the time.
What?
And you get in touch with Hall County and try to make a report, right?
I think I called 911 because my mother said that she saw somebody running away from the property, I believe.
Right. Your mom said it was a Hispanic male, correct?
I believe so, in like a gray shirt or something.
Right. A gray car maybe, and she had seen him possibly.
I don't know if he had a car, but he was just running.
And you actually had a deputy come out, and your mom says it's the same person that she saw maybe the day before or something. Is that right?
I don't recall that. I had to beg the law enforcement to make a report on it, though.
The law enforcement didn't think there was anything there to make a report on, right?
Correct, but I wanted to document it just in case, because, I mean, that's, if somebody's coming on my property where we lived, that was worrisome.
And then you took the next step to actually call Detective Hayes and tell him about the incident. Is that right?
I don't remember.
But you do remember that that was during the time that Chris was the temporary administrator. And do you remember saying that you believe Chris is behind the deflating of the tires?
I think I was possibly that one of my brothers could have done it, but I didn't know who. I didn't see the person. I mean, by the time I was taking a shower at the time, by the time I came out, just my car alarm was going off, and that was it.
Right, and but you're saying it was Chris. You're blaming Chris for this, right?
I don't know why I would be blaming Chris, but looking back on it, that would have been an unbiased opinion because obviously I didn't know I was in the shower, so that would be unfair to do that.
And were you talking with your mom? Did your mom, was it her idea for you to call and make police reports?
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
Either me or her, but I don't. If somebody was on my property, I could see where I would want to call 911 and file a report.
But isn't it true your mom just wanted you to make a record or make a case against your brothers while this was going on? So that's why you're doing it?
I don't think she would have necessarily done that. I think things were said from her about my brothers, but like the phone call, like her, talking about Scott threatening her and all this, I just told her, I said, if you don't get a voice audio or a video, nobody's going to believe you. And I left it at that.
You haven't heard the jail calls that we've had between you and your mother, have you?
No.
Do you remember on June 25th, 2019, having a phone call with her where you talked about writing everything down for the attorney? Do you remember talking about
pertaining to what?
Just writing things down to give to the attorney.
Which attorney? The estate attorney?
Whichever one you were talking about. Do you remember talking about the attorney?
I remember that she was giving me a list for the estate attorney because I had a legal document stating that I can take her personal assets.
Do you remember Chad being on the phone and saying, we're going to do whatever we can to make this shoot go away? You didn't say the word shoot.
I was like, that's something weird. I mean, we were just trying to be positive, and it was a hard time. We were having to go through my parents' house, and
do you remember saying it's all about the money, 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 money?
everything seemed about money all the time.
And you wanted to make sure that the attorney had all the things possibly could have?
It was the attorney's responsibility to protect the assets.
And do you remember the conversation there about whether or not Rusty is keeping a check on Chris on Facebook?
No.
Do you remember on June 26th of 2019, another phone call talking about, did Rusty give you a list of things to get out of the house?
I don't recall that. My mother said many things on phone calls, but she gave me a list, and I knew what to get.
But you don't deny that around this time you were talking to Rusty on behalf of your mom?
I really don't recall. There was times that she was like, reach out to him, and I did not do it. I didn't want to talk to him.
Do you remember your mom in a phone call on September 6, 2007 saying, does Michael understand the severity of Chris and Scott?
2007.
No. But that sounds like something she would say. She was very concerned about Chris and Scott.
How about that we enlightened them? We got the majority of key facts. I got all that to them. Do you remember that conversation all about getting information to the attorneys about Chris and Scott?
No, I assumed that she would have told everything, and I've always been very open and honest about situations with my brothers.
That same phone call, do you remember her instructing you to call Rusty back and talk to him some more?
Probably. She asked me to call him, and I tried to not do that.
On July 5th of 2019, after the prelim and facts came out in the hearing that you didn't know about, you called your mom and talked to her, didn't you?
I would assume so.
Do you remember telling you or saying, let me caution you not to say anything on this phone call?
She would. I said that, or she said that?
She.
I would imagine so. She was always. I mean, I knew the phone calls were being recorded, and I didn't have anything to hide, so she would say that. I don't know.
Well, I'm not saying you said that. I'm saying
Yeah,
she said.
possibly. I would assume so. I would assume her.
I feel bad for her too, but
Do you
she's
remember
far too
after the
trusting.
New information, including he's in the burn pile by Rusty, that phone call. Do you remember telling your mom that you have a few questions for people?
She would have been a state's witness. I think we missed
Piece of
her.
information, and that's the phone call to Rusty when I had to go get the dogs, and he talked to him on the phone. I said, "Did she say this?" And he said no.
And then other phone calls, you keep talking about you still stand where you've always stood with your mom. In other words, you still believe that she didn't commit the murder. You remember saying things like that?
I was definitely far more like, I believe everything of my mother. I understand now that this is not my spot to investigate this, and there's no way for me to know everything. Just like Zach told me, y'all have all of the information.
That's the
it's very hard for me
prosecutor.
to form opinions.
We're
and
shrinking
when
him
I just don't know.
with super chats and group messages.
Did you know that your mother said to Rusty, if you don't stop talking, you're
Gift
going to
of
single-handedly hang me?
No, I don't believe so. Unless that was in a preliminary hearing.
Did she ever say anything to you about be careful on the phones?
She always did. But I didn't have anything to be careful about.
Did she ever ask you to be quiet or shh, don't talk about things?
Yeah, but then she would go on and she would ramble and ramble and ramble about things after that.
You agree with me that this whole ordeal is just awful for you, right?
Traumatizing.
And it does upset you, doesn't it?
Very much.
And you have strong feelings both directions in this case. Is that fair?
I stand right in the middle, and I pray y'all can do your job and figure out what happened.
And you just want the facts, the jury to hear all the facts and make their decision based on the facts and the truth in this case?
Absolutely.
You agree with me that you do have an interest in the outcome of this case, though, right?
How would I have an interest?
I mean, your mother, you don't want anything happen to your mother, right?
I would hate to see her go to jail, prison. Nobody wants to see their mother in that situation. But if she had something to do with this, then that's where people go who've done things like that.
You agree that we have to, in cases like this, we really have to put the emotion aside and just follow the evidence?
And that's why I cannot do your job.
Would you agree, though, that when you're following the evidence, you have to include and consider everything, including things like the motive, if someone has a motive?
I guess, but I think it would fall down to opinion, possibly.
You agree, though, motive is what prompts the heart to do something, though, right?
I guess so. If you don't have a moral compass or a sense of a relationship with God, then I guess so.
You'd have to consider the means, the ability to do this, right?
Repeat that?
You'd have to consider the fact someone's means or ability to do this crime, right?
Yeah, I guess you would boil it down to sheer physics of it all.
You know, when you boil it down, you have to consider who had the opportunity, who was there at the time that this took place.
Yes.
You can't just say Scott did it, Chris did it, she did it. I mean, that's kind of inconsistent. That's kind of like throwing spaghetti against the wall. You just have to boil it down to what the evidence speaks of, right?
That's correct.
You also have to consider who was present on the property on July 3rd at the time that the murder took place. Who was there and who was not there, right?
I would assume so.
You'd have to also consider phone records in this case, wouldn't you?
All evidence is evidence.
And you don't know those phone records, do you?
No.
You don't know the GPS evidence in this case, do you?
No.
You don't know the geofencing evidence that shows who and only whose phone is on the property at the time and after the death of your father.
No.
You'd have to consider that, though.
Oh,
wouldn't you?
yes, you would have. I mean, hopefully everything available.
I mean,
I've
you
seen
would-
other trials where they've used more than that, like the Murdaugh trials, and that was
Oh, she
mind-blowing.
was cut up.
But I think that any bit of information helps.
And you'd have to consider phone
Yeah, if you
calls
flip
between
the
your
phone
mom and
around,
your
you
mother.
know,
Yes.
Yeah,
spend the
yeah.
afternoon doing
You have
that.
to consider all the statements that have been made in the case by your mom and other people, correct?
Yes, I do not pity any of
You did it.
but I do not want to be in your shoes.
I mean, you'd have to consider, even if you rejected it, and even if it says, I didn't say that, she didn't say that, you still have to consider Rusty's statement that she told me he's in the burn pile. You'd have to consider it, wouldn't you?
And you have to consider everything, I guess.
And part of that is you'd have to consider the context that when he made that statement about he's in the burn pile, the rest of the statement that I said, do not say another word and do not tell me anything, I do not need to know, that is attached to the statement. You'd have to consider it in totality, wouldn't you?
I would assume so.
Right, so if the statement was tried to be explained later on, like you just overheard something being said with Martha Jane, you still have to consider, why would you say, don't tell me anything else? Because it comes down to credibility in many ways, doesn't it?
You have to consider everything.
Did you know your mom had a text message one time about your dad says, I hope you die alone in a gruesome death?
No.
You'd have to consider that too, wouldn't you?
Evidence is evidence.
Pause
Oh,
you know the
come
statement?
on.
real quick. I mean, Hella and I say that between each other at least twice a week.
At
So it's
least.
not that unusual. Let's be honest.
Oh, come on. And like, you know, I send him this clip quite often.
Yeah.
I hope you die in the fire.
And she only means it about 45% of the time.
Only sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, in all seriousness, I can't believe he's actually talking about that text message to the neighbor again. Right? That text message to the neighbor is fucking so immaterial. It's so stupid. It means fucking nothing. People blow off steam. People say
Yeah.
shit. People go, I want to kill so and so. I wish that person to die in a fire. Right? I wish Darlie would die in a fire. I hope you die in a fire. Doesn't mean they're actually capable of killing somebody. Please. What crap. Absolute crap.
About your mom with Rusty talking about being on the same page, and I can tell you that there should not have been as much damage as there was done. Did you know why she would say that?
No.
You know about the statement that she said that that body should not have been burned up?
What do you mean?
Do you know whether or not she even said that the statement that
I
that
don't
body
know.
should not have been
I've
burned
never
up?
heard anything directly, so no.
If she said those statements to Rusty on a phone call, you would have to consider that. You have to consider that in trying to decide for yourself whether or not you do or don't believe that she committed the murder.
I personally, I mean, evidence is evidence. The truth is the truth.
If someone intentionally commits a murder and burns a body, and they're not crazy, they would be conscious of what they did, right?
I would assume so.
You would have to consider in this case, and you yourself would consider, if there's a lot of lies and deceptions, wouldn't you agree with me that that speaks to the guilty mindset of the person that did it?
I don't know.
And you don't know, Amanda, because you don't want to believe your mom committed this murder,
I
right?
don't want to believe my mother would ever do anything like that. I don't want to believe anybody would do something like that.
Enough for the truth.
Oh, please.
Your mother and Chad did not have an affair.
No.
And you said something to the effect of they would work him up. Was that Chris?
My brothers would always try to stir stuff up.
So that's where that idea came from.
Yes. Because I told my parents he had a drinking problem and he was mad, and that was his retaliation.
You agree? That's very cruel. That's a cruel thing.
My brother has said and done things in the past years since this has happened that are very cruel, that are unforgivable almost. But as a Christian, I have to forgive him and understand it was the alcohol.
Your mother has lived with you now for about 4 years.
Yes.
And in those 4 years, she has never
Shut
admitted
up,
anything,
Ella.
has she?
Never.
And she has always maintained her innocence?
Correct. We've had some serious conversations, and the story remains the same.
You mentioned, it sounded like you were kind of trying to do your own investigation into this case 6 years ago. Is that kind of what?
At the beginning,
Right.
and then I lost. You can't do anything when you don't know anything. And I grew up, and I understand that I can't control everything, and God's will is God's way. And that's it.
But also, is it fair to say that you felt like nobody's questioning you, asking you what happened?
Nobody wanted to talk to me.
Until somebody who used to be in the district attorney's office spent 4 hours with you.
Yeah, he came out of his way to come up to Hall County and talk to me and my husband.
Wasn't that
And you
sweet
felt
of
like you were finally
him?
heard
Yes,
years after this incident took place.
that was in 2020. I was pregnant with my son. Yeah.
Until now. This is really your first chance to finally be heard in
I
front
don't
of the
think
jury.
she's still pregnant.
Do you feel like you said everything you needed to say?
There's just so much pain. There's no good outcome. He's never coming back. He'll never be there again. And that's just the
Well,
worst
your
part about
mother
it
could
all.
be
And
acquitted.
knowing that my mother could potentially spend the rest of her life in prison is terrifying. But again, everybody, you have to follow the evidence, and you have to do what you do. And I'm sorry, y'all have to do this. I'm sorry.
Going back to that investigation that you were doing, essentially, too, after you heard what you heard in the prelim, and now this jury has heard those recordings that the district attorney was talking to you about, you questioned Rusty.
Yes.
Adamantly.
Yeah.
I believe you used the words he was a coward.
He is a coward.
And that he was just trying to essentially cover for himself. He was only about himself. Did you say something like that?
Correct.
But when you confronted him, he literally told you he lied.
He just said that she didn't say that. That's all I know. That's from what I can recall, because that's the
This
only
is good.
conversation I really remember ever having with him. And I blatantly asked him, did she say this? And he said no.
Did he go into any detail as to why?
No, but I probably didn't. I probably didn't dig into it. I have a terrible way of not being involved.
Okay. The statement, Mr. Focus read off to you a number of statements and things that have been presented in this trial, but I just want to get to this one and see if you knew anything about it, since you were around in the Manny Aurora investigation, which he had kind of his own investigators that went out to the house, right? Were you there for any of that?
I was.
All right, so this statement, I think he ran out something about her talking to Rusty about the body wasn't meant to be burned that bad, but there were fire investigators that y'all had hired to go out to the property.
Manny had hired somebody to go out there.
And that information came from that investigator. Were you around for that?
I don't know if I ever heard any of the outcome of it. I just knew that he had hired certain people to go out there, but I don't know how
Rusty
far it went,
coward.
because he only had received so much money, and we couldn't afford to pay him.
Before I said, is there anything else you want to say to this jury?
I'm sorry that you have to be here. I'm sorry I have to be here, and everybody in this room. But it's, if I can say anything at all, and what this has taught me, is that lean into God, and He will take care of you and give you peace and calm
Oh, God.
in the storm, and just give you a sense of hope. And
Oh, please.
I don't know. It's hard to find anything. I hope the truth comes out, and it's going to be painful no matter what happens, because at the end of the day, my daddy's gone, and I miss him.
Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am. You can sit.
I just don't understand why there's so many people out there who keep saying that that Melody is such a cold-hearted bitch. Look at her.
Yeah.
Like, look at her. She,
Yeah.
she showed so much emotion throughout this trial.
Yeah.
Like, what trial were they watching? I've rarely seen a defendant show so much emotion. She really, she has broken down so
Yeah.
many times that we've
More
been
than
watching
a lawyer would traditionally want their client to break down, I think.
a lot. Like, yeah, you would like usually lawyers are like just stay
Yeah.
completely stoic, scribble on a notepad to keep
Yeah,
you
distract yourself and
distract yourself.
write
Don't
on.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, like, and that's the thing, Johnny. People will say stuff like that. People will say, "Oh, but she's feeling sorry for herself, not because someone's dead, blah blah blah. And that's why lawyers say that to their clients, because people will judge based on what they believe, right? And you might believe that, whereas someone else might believe that she really does feel bad that her husband's gone and that her family's broken up, and like she's not guilty. That's the reason why she is emotional. People will read into it different ways. What I'm trying to get at here is that I just don't understand what trial people are watching that they're saying that she is so cold and emotionless. She is clearly emotional, right? It could be remorse. It could be, but it could also be genuine sadness that this is the outcome that the family, this is where the family has come to. And yeah, that she did not do this. Her sons did this. One of her sons did this, but her husband's dead, and the father of her children are dead, and grandchildren don't have their granddad. I personally tend to believe that, no, I don't think she did it. But I personally tend to believe that her and Gary had a pretty good relationship, but it wasn't a romantic relationship anymore. I think they were just living in a house together, and they shared their children and their grandchildren, and that they had a bit of an understanding going. And I think he fully knew about Rusty, and she knew about his relationships that he had, and they were cool with it. And like they didn't chitty chat about it, but she made dinner and he went to work, and it had gotten to that point in their lives where they were just kind of okay with that situation. And I don't see any motive for her to murder him at all. It just doesn't make any sense. So, and also I don't think that she physically did it. That doesn't make any sense either. So, so far I haven't seen anything beyond a reasonable doubt. Doesn't make any sense. Her daughter is just completely broken. That's why she said, yeah, I can see years and years of trauma for her daughter. So that makes sense. She lost everything, money with her husband dead. Yeah, she didn't end up with money as a result, even if it hadn't have been that she was charged. I don't think that she ended up better off financially as a result. So I don't know. I mean, maybe she would have, but I don't think better off than she was prior. Like prior, she was doing pretty well. Yeah, I don't know. Polycules never pay, chat. Yeah. Anyway, it's been fun. Hella is funny. Oh yeah, I know. You enjoy your time over in the Court TV chat, don't you, Justin? They love you over there. Say hi to the mods over there, etc. I know that. Is that actually, have they given you a wrench yet? Oh dear. Ella, watch my clip before you end. Do I have to? Do I have to? Fine.
You got it.
All right, fine. I suppose I'll share it.
You found it?
Yep. Oh, Macca.
Would you like to go to Hito with me, ma'am?
Yeah, Bubby.
Can I sit in the corner? Can I sit on
You'd
the chair?
have to. They don't allow small people.
Would you like to go to Hito with me, ma'am?
Enough. Yeah, Bubby. Enough. Thanks, Mavka. You're really sailing close to getting banned from the channel. Sailing very close.
Hi.
Hi. Hi. Thank you for that. Anyway, yeah.
Turn the stupid thing off.
No, I think I'll leave it on. So, what do you got planned for this week?
I'm gonna be. Damn it, Yolanda. Sorry. I'm gonna be doing the Lori Vallow trial every day at 4 p.m. Eastern. So that's when lunch starts, roughly, and or a little after lunch starts, and then we'll get caught up during the lunch break with the morning, and then we'll be live when court resumes a little bit later.
Okay, so you're doing that, and that means that basically what I've got planned is that I will be doing my streams this week starting around 8 p.m. Eastern rather than 7 p.m. Eastern.
Yep.
Which is good. It means I get to sleep in.
Yes.
Or it means that I get to be on Dali's stream for a bit and then go live. So I don't know what I'm covering this week. Probably a bit of the stuff I usually do. Maybe some other things. Don't know.
Cool.
I was thinking I might get one of the lawyers on this week. It's been a while.
Nice.
Yeah, especially since I'll be on a bit later. Maybe one of them might be available. Get one of them on to chat. Yeah, so anyway, we'll do that. Who's on right now? Is anyone on? Where's everyone going to go? Who feels like going somewhere? Oh, we're going to eat pizza. Da, 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 da. No one's really on. I'm not redirecting you to Kurt. That's not happening.
Kurt?
No. Oh, look, what the hell's is streaming?
Hey, Sleuthy.
Sleuthy here. Hello. Hi. We're just finishing up, Sleuthy. I was thinking about doing a stream with my friend Steve Gosney actually soon about the death penalty and the laws around it, and also like some I want someone on there who believes in the death penalty, like who actually agrees with it, because Steve and I both completely disagree with it. Sleuthy, I don't know what your thoughts are on it, but I'd like you to meet him actually. I think you would find him really interesting. So maybe yourself, don't know. We'll talk with Mike. No, we're not going. Oh, is Angela live in 15? Sweet. Yeah. Sleuthy, I wouldn't mind having you on a panel with my friend Steve. That would be interesting. So yeah, I was thinking about. Pardon?
Do you have somebody to redirect to?
Yeah. Angie's going in 15 minutes.
Okay, cool.
So I
Kurt,
will.
Kurt is alive.
I am not redirecting to Kurt. I mean, we've only got 20 people here, but I'm still not redirecting to Kurt.
Aww.
So never happening.
Safa.
When? Message you? Yeah, I will. I haven't even thought of the date yet, but I wanted to talk about death penalty laws, and also the arguments around whether even if you are a supporter of the death penalty, whether there's even an argument to keep it, because there's just no sense to it because of the fact that it takes so long, it costs so much money, it's inefficient. So I would like someone who supports the death penalty to come on and just have a chat about that, about how they feel about whether or not it's still relevant in this day and age. And completely open to arguments for and against. So anyway, Hella is scared of Kurt. I wouldn't say scared. I'd say more a little grossed out. Scared he might sit on her. Yeah. Okay. Enough Kurt love. Yeah. You can argue both sides, but I'm anti. I will not. I'm surprised at that, Mavka. I thought you'd be for. Okay, so I need to find the link for Ange. Hang on.
Oh, I just had it.
Oh, did you? Can I have it, please?
Yeah, I can probably find it quicker than you.
Yes, you can find it quicker than me because I have to go to my dashboard in the meantime.
Cool.
Stupid dashboard. So yeah, I don't know what Angie's going to be talking about in 15 minutes. But let's
AG's
talk about
office investigation of Sheriff Steins.
Oh, it's a Mickey Stein stream.
Yes, I'll put it in private. Yeah, I like that she's kind of branching out to some new topics.
Yeah, she loves the whole hillbilly thing.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, she's right into that.
Yeah, she mentioned that the other day.
Yeah. Cool. Yes. So yeah, we'll go hang out and in her waiting room. And yeah, Mickey Stein's that's a really interesting case. All right, let's go have a look. I'll chuck that in here. And everyone say hello, Raid, when you get there, because why not? Well, first I need to copy and paste it from private chat. That would be fun. That would be smart of me, wouldn't it? There we go. Yes, everyone say hello, Raid, when you get there. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. That was fun. I think we might jump straight to the closing arguments next time.
Okay.
That'll be fun. Let's do it. Sweet. Yes. Lovely. All right. Everyone say hi to Ange and say hello, Raid, when we get there. Cool. All right. Time for the song.
Her name was Ella. She was an Aussie. She was a fake lawyer from the future. She got on YouTube and made some live streams. The co-host is Dolly and she dances sometimes. The words are always so loud and because she's an 803.